Let's flip to the other side of the ball, which I think is a very, very interesting matchup here. Because Arizona plays kind of a weird defense. It's a base 4-2-5, which anymore in modern college football, very, very few teams play a traditional like back four where it's just two corners and two safeties. Very, very few teams play that. It's pretty much just 3-3-5 and 4-2-5 anymore. And obviously both of those tend to kind of morph and look a lot like each other in certain situations anyways. But they're playing a 4-2-5, but they have their they don't necessarily have any particularly standout players. Their two safeties are very, very good. Let me pull them up here. They're very, very good at safety. Genesis Smith and Dalton Johnson, their two safeties, are very, very good. They lead, Genesis Smith leads the team in tackles right now. Dalton Johnson is third. They are good, and maybe the best matchup that we've seen for someone that may be actually able to cover Ben Bramer and Gabe Burkle. But they're gonna have. I mean, they're still gonna have their hands full with Bramer and Burkle, but the rest of that defense, like, they have some guys, but they're not any particular standouts necessarily. Probably their best linebacker is Chase Kennedy. He's been pretty good. I mean, he's not like a world beater or anything like that, but he's a solid player. But really where this Arizona defense kind of starts causing problem is that their defense is extremely aggressive at like all three levels. Their defensive line stunts and twists on I would over half of their defensive snaps, most of their defensive snaps. And I have some clips I'm going to show you here in a little bit, just to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. But their entire deal basically is that defensive line is trying to cause as much chaos at the offensive line as possible. Sometimes that helps them get to the pass rushers. Sometimes it just helps muddy up the running lanes. Does a lot of weird things. And then you kind of let the linebackers, their experienced linebackers and safeties, come down and make hits on the running game. And I believe they're like second in college football in blitz rate. So they blitz a lot. Now they don't get home very often. I think they're only I think they're in the bottom. I think they're outside of the top 100 in pressure rate, but they don't get home a lot, but they do bring a lot of blitzers. To counteract that, I would not be shocked if they bring in a Tyler Moore to add in a sixth pass blocker into that, just to help, give Rocco a little bit more time and help take advantage of Arizona being very, very aggressive. So I want to show you a couple clips here of what I'm talking about. Let me see here. This is what I want. So here's the first clip I've got here. So this is all three of these clips are against Arizona. These are all in the first half, but I can just kind of show you what's going on here. Oh, I forgot to pull down the Biggest 12s banner. There we go. So let's look at this here. So obviously you've got K-State lined up here. You've got them in 11 personnel. Maybe that's 12 there. I think that might be a tight end out there, but 11 or 12 personnel. But you've essentially you're lined up much more similar to like what 11 personnel looks like. One guy off the right tackle's hip pocket there, one running back in the backfield. And now let's go here. Watch the defensive line of Arizona. So we're gonna bam. So first thing you can see right here is they're starting to stunt. They're starting to do a twist on the inside. Bam. So what you saw here, you saw the right defensive end and the right tackle. The right defensive end and the left defensive tackle twist outside to their left, and the right defensive tackle and left edge over here twist inside. Now, granted, Kansas State did a nice job countering this. Dylan Edwards. I mean, they've got two guys in the backfield right there. I mean, they've got a couple guys home clean here. Like I said, Kansas State had a decent-ish play call here to counter what's going on. But this type of stunting action is exactly what K-State loves to do.
Zeroes out the opening possession.
Make the plays.
So watch this defense. Watch the defense again. You're gonna watch Over here, you have the right edge, and you're gonna have the left defensive tackle here. You're gonna have them pop out and be the outside of this twist. You're gonna have this guy, the right defensive tackle, and the left edge here shoot inside through their gap.
There, young man. There's Dillon
right there. That's the kind of stuff. Again, the play call from Kansas State sort of lets this happen, but it's this type of action that you're going to see a lot.
Edwards with him as well.
It lets Avery Johnson keep it out here.
Oh, this is a tuck.
So you have this defensive tackle, the left defensive tackle that came on the outside, eventually he came out and sort of spied him really. So like watch this left defensive tackle here again. Watch right here.
Young man. There's Dillon.
And now he's really just watching. He's just watching Avery Johnson here.
Edwards with him as well. This is a tuck and run.
Does a nice job. Unfortunately, this outside receiver here doesn't really do his job very well. This guy right here doesn't do a very good job holding that.
Edwards with him as well. This is a tuck and run. Here is Avery Johnson trying.
He gets pushed back, but it's that type of twisting and stunting action here that Arizona loves to do to put a lot of pressure and kind of muddy up that running game. So like when you're in this situation, when you've got a read option from Kansas State, he's going to, he sees that twist. He sees the line go through. He's immediately going to read, I'm keeping this thing. Yeah. Now, when he sees that on film, they're going to look at this and say, Avery, you should have seen this defensive tackle. And you saw him stand up and start watching you, which means you should have handed it to the running back.
There's Dillon.
But if he hands it to the running back there, he's already got two defensive tackles in the backfield.
Edwards with him as well.
He got tackled right there. So, but that's where the chaos comes in, because the defensive tackle sitting there waiting for it reads on the read option, looks like you should give it to the running back, but he keeps it. This receiver doesn't do a very good job blocking. The defensive tackle does an all right job.
This is a tuck and run. Here is Avery Johnson trying to carve to the 35.
But that's the type of thing that Arizona wants to do here. Let's go to the next clip, which I'll have to pull up here. Can only really do these one at a time, unfortunately. Okay, next clip here. We've got Kansas State in 12 personnel. So, like Iowa State doesn't run a lot out of the pistol like this, but, some variation of this is pretty common. So 12 personnel here. We got 5 on the line here for Arizona State. And you see it right here. That nose tackle twists to the inside here and basically clogs this nonsense up. And all of a sudden now there's 2 running lanes here. But this is a mess. It's not really supposed to go this way. So it's not such a big deal for Kansas State, but that twisting action has gummed up the left side of this line. Oh gosh, I should get it on the screen. Okay, so 12 personnel. You've got 5 on the
team.
You've got 5 on the defensive line here. So now we've got, watch this nose tackle right here.
Sees a short field.
He's coming around, so he's got that left side all gummed up. And now you've got these 3 linebackers kind of pacing over here. This safety is hauling ass towards the line of scrimmage because he sees that his assignment here is to fill to this edge, which you see Iowa State safeties do a lot too. His job right here is to fill to this edge and prevent the running back from getting this thing outside while this guy tries to seal this linebacker inside. But basically at this point, everybody is full speed down to the line of scrimmage except for this safety here.
On defense.
Yeah, that guy's hauling ass. They've handed it
because of it. Dillon Edwards
blew it up.
He is bottled up.
So
on defense.
That's what Arizona wants to do here. Now Kansas State and it would have been nice to have a read here.
His team sees a short field.
If right here he could have pulled off like a play action right here. If you have a play action here with an action on like a 0 coming back on a zig route back to the outside, I think is a really fun way this, because Arizona is gonna over pursue a lot. They're gonna when they see this thing, they're gonna bite on this action quite a bit. So when you're talking about things that could work pretty well against Arizona, I like the RPO game and I like play action here. Now, Arizona does bring a lot of pressure, and play action can be susceptible to a blitz if you don't have someone to get rid of the ball to immediately. So you have to, if you're going to do a play action or RPO type thing, you got to do it specifically play action where you don't really have the option built in to hand it off to the running back, which you can argue doesn't necessarily exist a lot in college football. Pretty much anything now, like anything that could have been play action is pretty much going to be RPOs for the most part, counters, RPOs, things like that. There's a lot of stuff going on here because you can see how hard Arizona's crashing on this handoff. This is one, Avery Johnson naked bootleg. Avery Johnson pulls this thing out, gives you a boot out this way, and you have zero coming back on a zig route. And you've got a lot of space. Maybe this guy sees it and he comes back to pursue Avery, but then this guy's wide open. But because of Kansas State basically run these as a dedicated run to the outside, which is where Arizona wants to force you to run. They don't want you to essentially play chicken with them in the middle of the line. They don't want to play in here. They want,
and his team sees a short field on defense because of it.
And Kansas State ran right into it. And once this thing is snapped, really too, you can see
yardage he's granted.
Arizona is really relying on their linebackers and safeties to just see the play and get after it. So you can see this safety up here. He's going to come out of like a cannon. And, the linebackers they're not really reading gaps. They're just finding a spot where they think the running back is going to come in.
And his team sees a short field on defense.
So like this linebacker here is not reading shit. Like he's basically just trying to cover this backside. He's not, he sees these two running lanes here. And he's just trying to fill this because he knows that this guy's going to fill to this edge and this guy's going to fill out to this edge.
Defense because of it. Dylan Edwards on the run.
And bottles it right up. So part of the way you can go out of Arizona, you need to sprinkle it in between inside and outside so that they can't read it. But because of how aggressive Arizona's defense is and how much they want to push you to the outside, at a certain point, you got to be able to call their bluff a little bit and kind of stare them right in the face and run up the middle through an A gap, something like that, create an A gap, even though they kind of like to blow up the gap. I got one more clip here I want to show you guys. And actually put it on screen this time. Okay, so we're still in the first quarter here. Kansas State out here looks like 11 personnel, or 01 personnel. So they're empty with one tight end right off the right tackle here. Kansas State or Arizona's got 5 right here on the line. And then you got these receivers bracketed over here with one safety over top.
Him to actually dictate,
bring some motion across. And you're going to see the first thing you always want to watch with Arizona is their defensive line and see what they're doing and what they're going to do immediately after the snap. Let me see here.
Edwards has a run to the 40-yard line. Dylan Edwards, the junior from the state of Kansas, transferred from Colorado.
Okay. So first thing,
what they've had in the past.
Oh, this is a different play. Whoopsies.
Edwards around the corner again, but you see the difference in speed. And
I think I accidentally jumped too far forward for some reason.
Put off to a tight end. It's Garrett Oakley, a very crowded
I believe this is
room for Kansas State.
Using him.
Yep. Okay. So you got the running back that's going to come in on motion here. And he's coming across. So the first thing you're going to watch is right off the snap what the defensive line is doing.
To actually dictate coverage right now.
Okay. So they see this guy coming across. They're bringing a blitz. They've got 5 guys coming right now. Kansas State's got a pulling guard.
To actually dictate.
So that right guard's pulling. And then they've got this tight end coming across on the split zone. So they're running a counter here.
Take coverage right now.
Just like this. So now Arizona has over pursued on the right side because that's where they bit on this thing. So they've over pursued the right side a little bit. And now they've got a hole coming in left. They've got a receiver blocking down here, and they've got a guard and a tight end coming through here to lead block. Right here.
Edwards.
And all Dylan Edwards has to do is make one guy miss.
Breaks a tackle. Edwards.
And you're right there. So back this up just a touch.
Using him.
So we had the right guard pulling here. We've got the tight end coming on the split zone.
To actually dictate coverage right now.
coming through here. Now, all you have this linebacker right here is tracking the running back. And all Dylan Edwards has to do here is make this guy miss. That's it. You just got to make this guy miss. And he makes him miss, which both Abu Sama and Carson Hansen are more than capable of doing.
Delay. He breaks a tackle. Edwards.
And you just take what you can get, and you have a nice play there. So I've already seen you guys hinting at it in the comments here about what all of this means. It looks like you guys have already been figuring out as I've been demonstrating this. RPOs, Sama in the RPO, counters and RPOs, the pop passes, delayed runs. All of these are great things. Basically, any sort of misdirection, RPO type stuff can really, really mess with the Arizona defense because of how aggressive they are. They want to collapse down on anything you do and attack it. Their defense, partially because of how they play, like they really don't have an option to play slow, because if you have hesitation, they're going to have holes all over the place. But because of that, to make it work, this defense is flying around all over the place. They're sprinting everywhere. They're trying to lay the wood and make a big hit whenever they possibly can. So what you can do is you get misdirections. Maybe you get a screen, maybe you get some screens. A bubble screen to Xavier Townsend would actually, is probably going to work pretty nicely. Like an RPO to Sama with a screen over to Townsend on the outside. Something like that could probably be really nice. And as someone mentioned earlier, that pop pass is going to work at some point in the game. It's gonna. I mean, it already works against teams that. Yeah, I do want to. So Finney brought Jeff Woody gave good insight on this too. I do want to give a shout out to Jeff Woody, because listening to his discussion about this is what kind of led me to go back and start watching some Arizona stuff. And because I had not really gotten to watch Arizona too much outside the Kansas State game. And when you're watching that game live, you're not necessarily watching the defense much, but so I want to give some credit to Jeff Woody on that, because he was kind of the first one that pointed out that Arizona's defense is kind of weird. And, so it's Arizona's super, super aggressive. I think I would say it's got a lot of pieces that they can use to curb a lot of this. They can bring a tight end for some extra pass blocking. They've got multiple running backs that are perfectly capable receivers that they can hit them on a screen pass or something like that. Carson Hansen on a draw is probably a solid idea. I would say loves pulling guards. They love sending tight ends through A and B gaps. They love doing a lot of the things that can really, really hurt Arizona's defense. And we haven't seen it really yet this year, but the RPO alert to the backside slant that I would say it seems like every year has, one of those things go, it gets completed and then gets taken another 50 yards to the house. Once a year, first time you saw it was Quentin Bunridge in 14. And then you saw, X had the one against Oklahoma in 2020. Seems like once or twice a year, they just hit that RPO with the backside alert slam. And it just goes, phew. This game is begging for that. This game is begging you to, get an RPO and get a pop pass over the top, or to hit a backside slant, get Xavier Townsend in a bubble screen, something like that. Or if you can, a play action type of thing, and then you can get one-on-one coverage with Chase Soule, Chase Soule, Brett Eskelson, Dom Overby along the sideline, and let them go, get a jump ball. Or maybe it's Gabe Burkle on the pop pass, or it's Ben Bramer on a seam route off the RPO. There's lots of those types of things that, man, if you can time these well enough and you can do the homework to set them up with the running game, and the running game is doing its job. If you can use the running game to set those things up, those things are gonna happen. So their DBs, like I said, they've got two good safeties. Genesis Smith and Dalton Johnson, their two safeties are good. They're very good. Their corners are fine. I don't think they're necessarily anything to write home about. Like they're not like he's on the report, and that's just kind of what it is. Yeah, I think they're there. They do fine, but they're not any particularly standout players at those two positions.